More AEW talent has reportedly been sent away and sent home from AEW Collision in recent weeks after the story of Hangman Adam Page being told to leave the arena, as well as Ryan Nemeth. Details on who's been sent away and what's the latest going on with CM Punk and people maybe he doesn't really like not being in the arena during AEW Collision events. Speaking of CM Punk as well, he's paid tribute to Magnum TA on social media after he was reportedly allowed backstage this past weekend at AEW Collision. AEW All In at London's Wembley Stadium has now surpassed 80,000 tickets being distributed for the event. Details on that, plus Conan slams the Young Bucks and Brian Cage gives an update on the injury that kept him out of AAA. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off talking about CM Punk and people being turned away from AEW Collision. Of course, we spoke earlier today about the incident involving Hangman Adam Page in Greensboro this past weekend, but reportedly, that's not a unique case. This has been happening quite a lot recently at AEW Collision events. Now, more details of roster members being sent home from AEW Collision have emerged, showing a trend at the CM Punk-led show, with the recent report that Hangman Adam Page was brought into Greensboro to pre-tape a promo for this coming week's episode of Dynamite, only to be told that he couldn't do it from the venue Collision was being held at. It was also reported that Ryan Nemeth arrived and was told he wasn't needed and a flight had been booked for him to travel back home. Well, Dave Meltzer has now revealed that there has been more similar issues at AEW Collision, a show that only debuted on June 17, 2023. According to Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, this hasn't been the first time that wrestlers have run into issues. Here's what he said, quote, "This is not the only time this has happened. This has actually been happening. It's happened to several other people. Matt Hardy was booked on a Saturday, went there, and was then told not to go to the building after he got there. That was not last night, but Matt Hardy was one of them." Meltzer continued by saying Christopher Daniels, who had been working with Matt Sydal as a tag team in Ring of Honor, for whatever reason, same thing happened with him, that he's not supposed to go on Saturday, and he's the frickin' head of talent relations. There may be others, but those are the ones that I know of that's been happening to. There's a lot of other things too, but that's the stuff that pretty much out right now, I guess. So reportedly, it's not just Hangman Adam Page, it's more of a trend. Now, CM Punk did a shoot promo on Adam Page after Collision went off the air, referring to Hangman as a, quote, peg warmer, as opposed to a star who moves merchandise, pops ratings, and sells toys. Jim Ross has recently described the atmosphere at AEW Collision as, quote, entirely different than the mindset and the atmosphere of AEW Dynamite. He would note that less people, less crew, less talents have led to a calmer environment. CM Punk reportedly led an AEW talent meeting in July of this year, as previously reported by Fightful, where, quote, a large part of the meeting was said to have been how Collision has differentiated itself from Dynamite since its debut. It was also reported that talent went over what was and what was not good for Collision, such as finishes, shenanigans, and much more. Now, speaking of CM Punk, he also paid tribute to wrestling legend Magnum TA on social media over the weekend. CM Punk has addressed a wrestler who visited backstage at AEW Collision in Greensboro, North Carolina on August 12, 2023. While it was recently reported that Hangman Adam Page wasn't allowed to get into the venue for his segment, former NWA United States Heavyweight Champion Magnum TA was a well-received guest. CM Punk shared his praise for Magnum TA on his Instagram story, a screenshot which can be seen on the screen right now. Reflecting on the visit from the two-time champion, Punk writes, quote, Magnum visited backstage in Greensboro last night, and I want to publicly say what an honor it is to be able to speak to the man. It's humbling, a legend takes the time. It's always a pleasure to see one of the greatest come through. Wrestling royalty. Of course, Magnum joined the NWA in 1977 and would go on to shine with Jim Crockett Promotions in 1984. His in-ring career would be cut short in 1986 as a result of a car crash in October of that year. So one person that could get in was Magnum TA, another person that couldn't was Hangman Adam Page. Now, speaking of CM Punk's return to AEW, obviously a big proponent of him returning to All Elite Wrestling was his friends FTR. And speaking to DAZN Wrestling, FTR discussed Punk's return thus far, with Dax speaking glowingly of not only Punk's legacy as a performer, but also his ability to draw attention to the product, even ranking him alongside Roman Reigns as a top name in the industry. Dax said, quote, I think that Punk is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. You look at his track record, his resume, and the things that he's done in professional wrestling, especially when the business at one point was completely against him and what he represented and who he was, and he made a name for himself and became one of the biggest stars our industry's ever seen. AEW having, in my opinion, up there with Roman Reigns, the biggest name in professional wrestling today, only helps everybody else and the company because it's bringing more eyeballs to the product. He also has something to prove. I don't think he's come back just for nostalgia or to be a nostalgia act. I think he's come back to reclaim his spot as the best in the world. Now, Cash continued on this point while also conveying the importance of Punk to AEW's Saturday Night Collision show, calling Punk's presence integral to the brand's success thus far. While Punk's impact on the AEW locker room has been subject to controversy following AEW All Out 2022, Cash has seen positives from those Punk has worked with thus far, particularly the emerging talent such as Absolute Ricky Starks. Cash explained, quote, he has these young guys that he wants to help elevate, that's his goal, so I think it's just going to help the locker room all around to have him be here. While FTR have had glowing things to say about Punk, he has once again found himself embroiled at the center of controversy pertaining to the comments made by Punk following the aforementioned Saturday, August 12 edition of AEW Collision. So what are your thoughts on the latest development when it comes to the CM Punk drama? What are your thoughts on people being turned away? Is this more on CM Punk or is this more on AEW for not having this situation resolved? And also, is it not on AEW for even their head of talent relations is arriving to an arena and then being told he's not needed? And if the head of talent relations doesn't know, who will know? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Really interested to know your thoughts and your opinions as always. Now, AEW All In has surpassed yet another major milestone for the show at Wembley Stadium. Following AEW All In from Wembley Stadium surpassing the historic attendance records for both WrestleMania 3 and SummerSlam 1992, yet another major milestone has been hit for the monumental event. According to the latest update from WrestleTix on Twitter, AEW's first ever international pay-per-view on August 27 has now had over 80,000 tickets distributed. The exact figure, as of the update at 9:03 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, August 13, is 80,056, with the current capacity set at 84,048, leaving 3,992 tickets available to purchase and a further 1,893 on resale. The staggering success of All In may not yet be over, as it is only 2016's WrestleMania 32 from Arlington, Texas's AT&T Stadium in its sights to become the third highest attended wrestling event of all time and the first in actual paid attendance. While WrestleMania 32's build attendance was that at 101,763, the actual number was 80,709, putting All In within touch and distance of surpassing WWE's highest figure ever, a major feather in the cap of AEW CEO Tony Khan. If All In surpasses WrestleMania 32, it would sit third in the all-time wrestling attendance record. However, number 2 and 1 are unfortunately well out of grasp. In 1995, New Japan Pro Wrestling and WCW collaborated for a two-night show known as Collision in Korea, headlined by Ric Flair versus Antonio Inoki. Both nights saw a truly unexplainable attendance of around 150,000 people at Pyongyang's May Day Stadium on night 1, with night 2 housing around 165,000. These are so high as it was actually government mandated attendance rather than ticket sales. So while AEW's success with All In is sure to be a sore one for WWE, could they perhaps aim to beat out Tony Khan's company with their very own Wembley Stadium event in the near future? Certainly, if John Cena and some within WWE have what they want to happen, it's entirely possible if they had a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam event or something like that in the future. But what are your thoughts on the latest numbers when it comes to AEW All In? Now, Conan has absolutely slammed the Young Bucks, and I want to get your thoughts on these comments. Certainly very interesting. Wrestling veteran Conan has blasted AEW's Young Bucks, claiming that Matt and Nick Jackson seem, quote, stale and, quote, unmotivated. Of course, the Young Bucks recently signed new multi-year contracts with AEW that was reported to be, quote, the highest guarantee any tag team in pro wrestling history has ever gotten. The news came after reports the Elite had gone back and forth over whether they should stay with AEW, move to WWE, or explore other avenues as a collective. Conan spoke about how he sees the Young Bucks on his Keeping It 100 podcast, saying, quote, they don't seem motivated. They just don't seem motivated the last few months. You know what I'm saying? They still brought it in the ring, but their backstage promos weren't that good, and they just, I don't know, they've become kind of stale. In July, he also shared his opinion, referencing their presentation during a promo and saying, quote, they can cut promos, I just don't think they're motivated right now. Look at them compared to when the company started, just their body language, attitude, everything. It doesn't seem like they want to be there. I could be wrong. Of course, the Bucks will face Austin and Colton Gunn of Bullet Club Gold on AEW Dynamite this week. But what do you think about Conan's comments? Is he right, or is he wide of the mark on this one? Finally, Brian Cage, he was meant to be at Triple Mania for AAA, but he missed the show this weekend, and he's actually provided an update on his injury status. As I mentioned on Saturday, Brian Cage was slated to appear at AAA's Triple Mania in Mexico City in a four-way match for the AAA Latin American Championship, but he couldn't make it to the event. Cage shared on social media that he missed the event because he was in the ER. Cage didn't reveal what the medical emergency was, but he did note that he was going to be fine by next week. He said, quote, "I was planning on coming down to Mexico, as I said, return to Triple Mania in a big way for the Latin American Championship," said Cage, "getting all my shit in, all the spotlight tonight, all that stuff I always say, picking up the scraps between Pentagon, QT Marshall, Dralistico, and all that jazz. Well, things don't always work out the way we want them to, and currently I'm in the ER right now with inconsiderate patients playing their Instagram videos in the background on full volume, but it's okay. I'm still alive, I'm still kicking, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I'll be making my flight or my scheduled match at Triple Mania this Saturday. Wish I was joking, wish I was lying, wish this was just part of the plan, but unfortunately it's not." Cage later added how he planned on being there and becoming the new champion. The winner of the vacated AAA Latin American Championship ended up being none other than AEW star QT Marshall. It was Texarkano Jr. who ended up replacing Cage in the title match. Of course, again, if we get any more information as to what the issue in question is, we'll let you know. His last match was actually this past Friday on Rampage, where he lost to Darby Allin. Cage currently holds the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team titles with Bishop Corn and Toa Leona. So again, if we get any more information on that, we'll let you know in the future. But there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.